Welcome to a place where your perception begins to shift, where the way you think about money, success, and opportunity starts to evolve, and where the hidden patterns behind wealth are revealed in a way that allows you to not only understand them, but apply them in your own life with clarity and intention. Today's audiobook, Mindset of the Wealthy, Secrets They Never Teach You, is not just about money, but about the deeper mental frameworks that shape how wealth is created, sustained, and expanded over time. Because the truth is that financial success is rarely about luck or surface-level knowledge, but about the way individuals think, decide, and position themselves in a world filled with opportunity. Before we begin, take a moment to support the channel by subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing this with someone who is ready to elevate their thinking and step into a higher level of awareness. Because your support helps this message reach those who are searching for change. And now, allow yourself to settle in, to focus, and to fully absorb the ideas that have the power to reshape your relationship with wealth. Part 1. Wealth begins in the way you think. Wealth does not begin with money, nor does it start with opportunity, connections, or resources, but rather with a way of thinking that determines how you interpret value, how you approach decisions, and how you position yourself in relation to the world around you. Because long before wealth becomes visible in the form of income, assets, or lifestyle, it exists as a pattern of thought, a mental framework, that influences what you notice, what you pursue, and what you believe is possible for yourself. And while many people focus only on external outcomes, those who consistently build wealth understand that their results are a reflection of their internal alignment, shaped by beliefs, habits, and perspectives that have been developed over time. And as you begin to explore this idea, you may start to notice how your own thinking has influenced your financial decisions, your willingness to take risks, and your ability to recognize opportunities. One of the most significant differences between those who build wealth and those who struggle to do so lies in how they perceive money itself. Because while some see money as something scarce, difficult to obtain, or even stressful to manage, others view it as a tool, a resource that can be directed, multiplied, and used to create value. And this difference in perception influences not only how money is handled, but how it is pursued. Because when you see money as limited, you are more likely to act cautiously, to avoid risk, and to focus on preservation. Whereas when you see it as something that can be created and expanded, you become more open to exploring opportunities, taking calculated risks, and investing in growth. And as you begin to shift your perception in this way, you may find that your approach to money becomes more proactive, more strategic, and more aligned with long-term success. The wealthy tend to think in terms of value rather than cost, focusing on what something can generate or contribute over time rather than what it requires in the present moment. And this perspective allows them to make decisions that prioritize growth and return, even when those decisions involve short-term sacrifice, because they understand that value, when created effectively, has the potential to multiply, creating opportunities that extend far beyond the initial investment. And as you begin to adopt this mindset, you may find yourself evaluating situations differently, asking not only what something costs, but what it can become, what it can lead to, and how it can contribute to your overall progress. Another key aspect of a wealth-oriented mindset is the ability to think long-term, to look beyond immediate results and consider the broader trajectory of your decisions. Because while short-term thinking often leads to quick gratification or reactive choices, long-term thinking creates a framework for sustainable growth, allowing you to make decisions that align with your future goals rather than temporary circumstances. And this requires patience, discipline, and a willingness to delay immediate rewards in favor of greater outcomes over time. Yet it is this very ability that enables the accumulation of wealth, as consistent, well-aligned decisions build upon one another, creating momentum that grows steadily and predictably. Risk is often misunderstood, especially by those who associate it solely with loss or uncertainty. Yet those who build wealth understand that risk is not something to be avoided entirely, but something to be managed, evaluated, and used strategically, because every opportunity carries some level of uncertainty, and avoiding all risk often results in missed potential, while taking informed, calculated risks can lead to growth, innovation, and expansion. And as you begin to shift your perspective on risk, you may find that your willingness to act increases, as you learn to assess opportunities more effectively and to make decisions based on potential rather than fear. The concept of leverage is also central to how the wealthy think, because rather than relying solely on their own time and effort, they seek ways to multiply their impact through systems, investments, and collaboration, understanding that true growth often comes from scaling beyond individual capacity. And this approach allows them to create results that extend far beyond what could be achieved through effort alone. And as you begin to explore this idea, you may start to see opportunities to apply leverage in your own life, whether through learning new skills, building systems, or connecting with others in ways that expand your reach and influence. Another important distinction lies in how the wealthy approach learning. Because they tend to view knowledge as an investment rather than an expense, continuously seeking information, skills, and insights that can improve their decision making and increase their ability to create value. And this commitment to learning allows them to adapt to changing environments, to identify emerging opportunities, and to remain competitive in a constantly evolving world. And as you adopt a similar approach, you may find that your perspective expands, your confidence grows, and your ability to navigate complexity improves. Emotional control plays a significant role in financial decision making because fear, greed, and impulsiveness can all lead to choices that undermine long-term success. Yet those who build wealth develop the ability to remain calm, to think clearly, and to make decisions based on logic and strategy rather than immediate emotion. And this level of control allows them to stay consistent, to avoid reactive behavior, and to maintain alignment with their goals, even during periods of uncertainty. And as you strengthen this aspect of your mindset, you enhance your ability to make decisions that support your growth rather than hinder it. Your environment, including the people you interact with and the ideas you are exposed to, also influences how you think about wealth. Because surrounding yourself with individuals who understand, value, and pursue growth can reinforce similar patterns in your own thinking, while environments that emphasize limitation or negativity can restrict your perspective. And by becoming intentional about your environment, by seeking out influences that align with your goals, you create conditions that support the development of a wealth-oriented mindset. Ultimately, wealth begins in the way you think, in the patterns you develop, the perspectives you adopt, and the decisions you make consistently over time. Because while external factors may influence your journey, it is your internal framework that determines how you respond, how you adapt, and how you continue to move forward. And as you begin to align your thinking with the principles of value, growth, and long-term vision, you set the foundation for creating and sustaining wealth in a way that is both intentional and effective, allowing you to move forward with clarity, confidence, and a deeper understanding of what it truly means to build abundance. Part 2. The hidden relationship between money and identity. As you continue to explore the mindset of the wealthy, you begin to uncover a deeper layer that is often overlooked, yet profoundly influential. And that is the connection between your identity and your financial reality. Because the way you see yourself, the role you believe you play in the world, and the level at which you believe you deserve to operate, all shape the decisions you make and the opportunities you allow into your life. And while many people attempt to change their financial situation by adjusting external actions alone, those who achieve lasting wealth understand that sustainable change begins with identity, with becoming the kind of person who naturally thinks, acts, and responds in ways that align with growth, value, and expansion. Your identity is formed over time through experiences, beliefs, and repeated patterns of thought that gradually define how you perceive your capabilities and your place in the world. And these patterns influence not only your confidence, but also your expectations, determining what you believe is realistic, what you consider possible, and what you are willing to pursue. And when your identity is aligned with limitation, where you see yourself as someone who struggles, who lacks opportunity, or who is not equipped for success, your actions will reflect that perception, often reinforcing the very outcomes you wish to change. Yet when you begin to shift your identity toward growth, toward possibility, and toward ownership, you create a new foundation that supports different decisions, different behaviors, and ultimately different results. One of the most subtle yet powerful ways identity influences wealth is through the concept of self-permission, because many people unconsciously limit themselves by what they believe they are allowed to achieve, earn, or experience, setting invisible boundaries that define their financial ceiling. And these boundaries are rarely questioned, as they feel natural or justified. Yet they can prevent growth by discouraging you from pursuing opportunities that exist beyond your current level of comfort or familiarity. And as you begin to challenge these limits, to expand your sense of what is acceptable and achievable for you, you gradually increase your capacity to receive, manage, and grow wealth in ways that were previously outside your awareness. The wealthy often operate from an identity that is centered around ownership, not just in terms of assets, but in terms of responsibility and perspective, because they see themselves as creators, as individuals who can influence outcomes, generate value, and shape their environment through intentional action. And this sense of ownership allows them to approach opportunities with confidence, to take initiative, and to remain engaged even when results are not immediate. And as you begin to adopt this perspective, you shift from reacting to circumstances to actively participating in the creation of your results, reinforcing a mindset that supports growth and expansion. Another important aspect of identity is the standard you set for yourself, because your standards determine what you accept, what you pursue, and what you are willing to tolerate. And when your standards are aligned with growth, excellence, and long-term success, your actions naturally reflect those expectations, guiding you toward decisions that support your goals, while low or undefined standards can lead to inconsistency, missed opportunities, and a lack of direction. And as you raise your standards, as you become more intentional about the level at which you operate, you begin to align your behavior with a higher level of performance, creating a pathway for increased success. Consistency between identity and action is essential, because when there is a gap between how you see yourself and how you behave, it creates friction, making it more difficult to maintain progress. Yet when your actions reflect your desired identity, when you begin to act as the person you are becoming, even before results fully materialize, you create alignment that reinforces your growth, allowing your mindset and your behavior to work together in a way that supports transformation. And this alignment strengthens over time as repeated actions confirm your new identity, making it feel more natural and sustainable. The process of shifting identity requires patience and repetition, because deeply ingrained beliefs do not change instantly. Yet through consistent awareness, intentional thinking, and aligned action, new patterns begin to take hold, gradually replacing old ones and reshaping your perception of yourself. And as this transformation unfolds, you may notice changes not only in your confidence, but in your willingness to take risks, your ability to recognize opportunities, and your overall approach to decision-making, all of which contribute to your financial growth. Your environment plays a significant role in reinforcing identity, because the people you interact with, the conversations you engage in, and the expectations that surround you all influence how you see yourself. And when you are in environments that support growth, that encourage higher standards, and that reflect the level you aspire to reach, it becomes easier to adopt and maintain an identity that aligns with wealth, while environments that emphasize limitation can reinforce restrictive beliefs, making it more difficult to expand beyond them. And by consciously choosing your environment, you create conditions that support your transformation. Another key element is the ability to detach from past identity, because many people remain tied to outdated versions of themselves, defined by past experiences, mistakes, or circumstances, and this attachment can limit growth by reinforcing patterns that no longer serve them. Yet by recognizing that identity is not fixed, but something that can evolve, you create the freedom to redefine yourself, to step into new roles, and to pursue opportunities that align with your current goals rather than your past limitations, allowing you to move forward with greater clarity and confidence. It is also important to understand that identity influences not only how you earn money, but how you manage, invest, and grow it, because your beliefs about what you deserve, what is possible, and how money should be handled shape your financial behavior. And as you develop an identity that aligns with responsibility, growth, and long-term thinking, you create patterns that support not just the creation of wealth, but its sustainability, ensuring that your progress is not temporary, but built on a solid foundation. Ultimately, the hidden relationship between money and identity reveals that wealth is not simply a result of external factors, but a reflection of how you see yourself and how you choose to operate in the world. And as you continue to refine your identity, to align it with growth, ownership, and possibility, you create a powerful shift that influences every aspect of your financial journey, allowing you to move beyond limitation and into a space where wealth becomes not just something you pursue, but something that naturally aligns with who you are becoming. Part 3. How the wealthy think about opportunities and risk. As you continue to uncover the mindset of the wealthy, one of the most transformative shifts you can make lies in how you perceive opportunities and risk. Because while many people wait for certainty, for guarantees, or for the perfect moment before taking action, those who consistently build wealth understand that opportunity rarely presents itself in a fully formed or risk-free way, and instead appears as potential, as a possibility that requires interpretation, evaluation, and a willingness to act despite uncertainty. And this difference in perception creates a significant gap between those who move forward and those who remain stuck, not due to a lack of intelligence or capability, but due to how they respond to the unknown. The wealthy tend to see opportunities where others see obstacles, because they have trained their minds to look beyond immediate difficulty and focus on potential value, asking not only what something is, but what it could become with the right approach, the right effort, and the right timing. And this ability to reframe situations allows them to identify possibilities that may not be obvious at first glance, creating an advantage that is rooted in perspective rather than access. And as you begin to adopt this way of thinking, you may find that your awareness expands, that you start to notice ideas, connections, and openings that you previously overlooked, not because they were not there, but because your focus has shifted toward recognizing them. Risk, in the eyes of the wealthy, is not something to be feared blindly, but something to be understood, measured, and managed, because every meaningful opportunity carries some level of uncertainty, and avoiding risk entirely often leads to stagnation, while taking uncalculated risks can lead to unnecessary loss. And the key lies in developing the ability to assess risk intelligently, to weigh potential outcomes, and to make decisions that balance caution with ambition, allowing you to move forward in a way that supports growth while minimizing unnecessary exposure. And as you develop this skill, you become more confident in your ability to navigate uncertainty, reducing hesitation and increasing your willingness to act. Another important distinction is that the wealthy focus on asymmetric opportunities, situations where the potential upside significantly outweighs the downside, because this approach allows them to take calculated risks that offer substantial rewards while limiting potential loss. And by consistently seeking these types of opportunities, they create a dynamic where even a small number of successful outcomes can generate significant progress. And as you begin to think in this way, You may find yourself evaluating decisions differently, looking not only at what could go wrong, but at what could go right, and whether the potential reward justifies the level of risk involved. Timing also plays a crucial role in how opportunities are approached, because recognizing when to act can be just as important as recognizing what to pursue. And while it is impossible to predict every outcome, those who build wealth develop an awareness of patterns, trends, and signals that help guide their decisions, allowing them to enter opportunities at moments where potential is highest. And while this skill is developed through experience and observation, it begins with a willingness to pay attention, to learn from past outcomes, and to refine your ability to interpret the environment around you, gradually improving your sense of timing over time. The wealthy are also comfortable with incomplete information, understanding that waiting for absolute certainty often results in missed opportunities, because by the time something becomes obvious or widely accepted, much of its potential has already been realized. And this does not mean acting recklessly, but rather accepting that uncertainty is a natural part of decision-making, and that progress often requires moving forward with the best information available at the time. And as you become more comfortable operating in this space, you increase your ability to act decisively, to adapt as new information emerges, and to remain flexible in your approach. Failure is viewed differently in this context, not as something to avoid at all costs, but as part of the process of identifying and refining opportunities, because not every decision will lead to success, yet each outcome provides information that can be used to improve future choices, and this perspective reduces the fear associated with taking risks, allowing for more experimentation, more learning, and ultimately more growth. And as you adopt this mindset, you begin to see that progress is not about avoiding mistakes, but about learning from them and using that knowledge to make better decisions moving forward. Another key aspect is the ability to act quickly when opportunity aligns with preparation, because while patience is important, hesitation can be costly when the right moment arises, and those who are prepared, who have developed the necessary skills, knowledge, and awareness, are able to recognize and act on opportunities more effectively, turning potential into results through timely action. And this highlights the importance of continuous preparation, of building your capabilities so that when opportunity appears, you are ready to engage with it confidently and effectively. Networking and relationships also play a significant role in how opportunities are identified and accessed, because many opportunities do not exist in isolation, but emerge through connections, collaborations, and shared ideas, and the wealthy often invest time and effort into building relationships that expand their perspective and increase their access to information. And as you begin to value and cultivate meaningful connections, you create additional pathways through which opportunities can arise, enhancing your ability to engage with them. It is also important to recognize that opportunity is not always external, because it can be created through innovation, through identifying gaps, solving problems, and offering value in ways that others have not considered. And this proactive approach shifts your role from waiting for opportunity to actively generating it, allowing you to shape your environment and create pathways that align with your goals. And as you develop this ability, you expand your influence, your potential, and your capacity for growth. Ultimately, how you think about opportunities and risk determines the actions you take and the results you create, because your perception influences your willingness to engage, your ability to evaluate, and your confidence in moving forward. And as you begin to adopt the perspective of the wealthy, to see opportunity and possibility, to approach risk with intelligence rather than fear, and to act with intention and awareness, you align yourself with a mindset that supports growth, expansion, and long-term success, allowing you to move forward with clarity, confidence, and a deeper understanding of how wealth is truly created. Part 4. The discipline, habits, and emotional control behind wealth. As you move deeper into understanding the mindset of the wealthy, it becomes clear that beyond strategy, beyond opportunity, and beyond even intelligence, there exists a foundation built on discipline, daily habits, and emotional control. Because wealth is not only created through what you do occasionally, but through what you do consistently, through the patterns you repeat, the standards you maintain, and the level of control you have over your impulses, your reactions, and your decisions. And while many people focus on what the wealthy have, far fewer pay attention to how they think and behave on a daily basis, how they manage their time, their energy, and their attention in ways that support long-term growth rather than short-term gratification. And as you begin to adopt these patterns, you start to align yourself with a way of operating that naturally leads to more stability, more clarity, and more sustainable success. Discipline, in this context, is not about restriction or forcing yourself into rigid routines, but about creating structure in a way that supports your goals, allowing you to act with intention rather than reacting impulsively to circumstances. And this level of discipline enables you to make decisions based on long-term outcomes rather than immediate emotions, guiding your behavior in a direction that consistently moves you forward, even when motivation fluctuates. And as you develop this discipline, you begin to notice that your actions become more aligned, your progress more consistent, and your results more predictable, because you are no longer dependent on how you feel in the moment, but on a system that supports your growth. Habits are the mechanism through which discipline is expressed, because they represent the repeated actions that shape your daily life. And while individual habits may seem small or insignificant, their cumulative effect over time can be profound, influencing not only your productivity, but your mindset, your identity, and your overall trajectory. And the wealthy understand this deeply, intentionally designing habits that support their goals. Whether it involves continuous learning, strategic thinking, financial management, or maintaining their physical and mental well-being. And as you begin to take control of your habits, to align them with your desired outcomes, you create a foundation that allows progress to occur naturally, without constant effort or decision-making. Emotional control is another critical element, because financial decisions are often influenced by feelings such as fear, excitement, impatience, or pressure, and without the ability to manage these emotions, it becomes easy to make impulsive choices that undermine long-term success. Yet those who build and sustain wealth develop the ability to remain calm, to think clearly, and to act deliberately, even in situations that, to avoid reactive behavior and to stay aligned with their strategy, reinforcing a mindset that prioritizes logic and long-term vision over temporary emotion. Delayed gratification plays a significant role in this process, because the ability to prioritize future rewards over immediate satisfaction is one of the most defining traits of those who achieve lasting success. And while it can be tempting to seek comfort, convenience, or quick results, those who think long-term understand that meaningful growth often requires patience, persistence, and a willingness to invest time and effort without immediate return. And as you develop this ability, you strengthen your capacity to stay focused on your goals, to resist distractions, and to make decisions that support your future rather than compromise it. Consistency, once again, emerges as a central theme, because it is not what you do occasionally that determines your results, but what you do repeatedly, and the wealthy build systems that allow them to remain consistent, even when circumstances change, ensuring that their progress continues regardless of external conditions. And this consistency creates momentum, turning small actions into significant outcomes over time, reinforcing the idea that success is not about intensity, but about persistence. Another important factor is the ability to manage time effectively, because time is one of the most valuable resources available, and how you choose to use it has a direct impact on your ability to create wealth. And those who operate at a high level tend to be intentional about their time, prioritizing activities that generate value, delegating or eliminating tasks that do not, and creating schedules that support productivity and focus. And as you begin to approach your time with this level of awareness, you increase your efficiency, your output, and your overall effectiveness. The wealthy also understand the importance of protecting their mental energy, because constant distraction, stress, or negativity can reduce clarity and impair decision-making. And by creating environments that support focus, by limiting unnecessary input, and by maintaining a sense of balance, they preserve the mental capacity needed to think strategically and act effectively. And as you adopt similar practices, you enhance your ability to remain clear, focused, and aligned with your goals. Adaptability is another key trait, because while discipline and structure are important, the ability to adjust, to evolve, and to respond to changing circumstances ensures that progress continues even when conditions shift. And this balance between consistency and flexibility allows for sustained growth, enabling you to navigate challenges without losing momentum. And as you develop this adaptability, you become more resilient, more capable of handling uncertainty, and more prepared to take advantage of new opportunities. Ultimately, the discipline, habits, and emotional control behind wealth are not separate from mindset, but an extension of it, a reflection of how you think, what you prioritize, and how you choose to operate on a daily basis. And as you begin to integrate these elements into your life, to build habits that support your goals, to develop discipline that sustains your progress, and to strengthen your emotional control, you create a powerful foundation that allows wealth to grow not just temporarily, but consistently and sustainably over time. The truth about the wealthy mindset. As you reach the end of this journey through Mindset of the Wealthy, Secrets They Never Teach You, take a moment to recognize that the true difference between those who create wealth and those who do not is not found in external advantages alone, but in the way they think, the way they act, and the way they consistently align themselves with growth, value, and long-term vision. Because wealth is not simply something that happens, but something that is built through awareness, intention, and repeated action. And as you begin to apply these principles, to shift your mindset, to refine your habits, and to take ownership of your decisions, you move closer to a reality where abundance is not just a possibility, but a natural result of how you operate. Remember that this transformation does not require perfection, nor does it happen instantly, because true change is the result of consistent effort, of small adjustments made over time. And as you continue to develop your mindset, to strengthen your discipline, and to expand your perspective, you will begin to notice that your relationship with money, opportunity, and success starts to evolve, opening doors that once seemed out of reach and creating possibilities that align with your growth. Thank you for listening to Frema Audiobooks. If this audiobook has brought you value, if it has shifted your perspective or helped you see your potential in a new way, then take a moment to support the channel by subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing this with others who are ready to elevate their thinking and step into a higher level of success. Because your support helps this message reach more people who are searching for growth, clarity, and transformation. Stay intentional, stay disciplined, and continue thinking like the person who creates wealth. This is Frema Audiobooks, and your journey to abundance continues.